Okay, the last thing that we're going to do today is we're going to look at what happens when you have something like 5m to the fourth plus 32m squared minus 64. Okay, so this is a case where we say that we are factoring a quadratic where the leading coefficient is something other than 1. Okay, you've got something over here for a. If you think about your a equals 5, your b equals 32, and your c equals negative 64, you've got something besides 1 for a. You actually have a number, a coefficient there. And not only that, but if you look, this is a prime number, and neither 32 nor 64 can divide by 5. So there's not a greatest common factor that can be factored out. Okay? So we're going to be looking at something called the AC method of factoring, okay? Which is also known as, it's AKA, also known as factor by grouping, which is what we did a little bit of earlier today. So the AC method. So what the AC method says is that you take your A, which is 5, okay, and you multiply it times your C, which is negative 64. Okay, so negative 64, wait. So negative 64 times 5 is going to give you negative 320, okay? That's what A times C is in this case, negative 320. And what I need is I need to find, so before, when you had quadratics where 1 was your leading coefficient, where there was no leading coefficient because it was 1, okay, you took your third term, you looked at your third term, and you said, well, what multiplies to give me this and adds to give me this? That's what you did before. Well, you can't really do that in when the leading coefficient is something other than 1. So what we're going to do instead, the AC method says that what you do instead is you take A times C, and now we're looking for something that multiplies to give us negative 320, but adds to give us 32. Okay? So we got to start looking at all of our pairs of factors for negative 320 that are going to add to give us this. And in this case, since this is a minus right here, okay, since this guy is a minus, that means that we know one of them is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative. So we're looking for something where the difference is going to be 32, okay? Well, 1 and 320 don't cut it, and neither do 2 and 160, because 160 minus 2 is 158, okay? I can't do 3, I can do 4. Let's see, 320 divided by 4 is 80. It's getting a little closer, right? Because 80 minus 4 is 76. I know I can do 5. What's 320 divided by 5? Looks like that's 64. 64 minus 5 is 59. Can 6, does it divide by 6? I don't know. 320 divided by 6. I've got a calculator. I'm cheating. Not 6. I don't think 7 either. 8, let's do probably, because 32 divides by 8. So 320 divided by 8 is, ooh, very promising. Okay, 40. Okay, so if I have 40 and 8, the difference between 40 and 8 is 32. So I think I have a positive 40 and a negative 8. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this guy right here, this middle term here, and we're going to take these two right here, and we're going to split this middle term into two terms. One of them is going to be negative 8m squared, and the other one is going to be plus 40m squared. Let's see what happens when we do that. So I've got 5m to the fourth. I'm going to keep that, okay? And then I'm going to do minus 8m squared, okay? And then I'm going to do plus 40m squared. And then I'm going to keep this guy right here and do minus 64. So you see what I've done? If I were to combine these like terms, right? Negative 8m squared plus 40m squared, I'd get 32m squared. So I'm doing the opposite. I'm kind of like decombining like terms, if you will. Okay? So let's go ahead and factor by grouping now. Now we're going to use those skills of factoring by grouping. Okay? What is the greatest common factor between these two? Well, it's just going to be m squared. M squared times 5m squared gives us our first term, and m squared times negative 8 gives us our second term. Now, what is the greatest common factor here? 40 and 64. Well, they both divide by 8. So I'm going to say that that's probably our greatest common factor. It might be 16, but I don't think so because no, 40 can't divide evenly by 16. So I'm going to say plus 8. So 8 times some number equals 40m squared. I think that's 8 times 5m squared. Okay? And then 8 times some number is negative 64. That's going to be negative 8. Now, take a look. This thing has happened. The thing that I want to have happened has happened. These match. So just like what I was doing before, I can now take these two terms here and put them in parentheses, m squared plus 8. And then this becomes, this becomes my other factor because it exists there. So 5m squared minus 8. And that's my answer. I'm done. I've factored it. Now, you might say, well, Mr. Letts, how do you know that this is right? Well, I can now check my answer if I want to. I can FOIL this out. This times this, this times this, this times this, this times this. Let's give that a try. M squared times 5m squared is 5m to the fourth. Ooh, it's looking promising. Okay, m squared times negative 8 is minus 8m squared, which is the same as this guy here. 8 times 5m squared is going to be plus 40m squared, which is the same as this dude here. And then 8 times negative 8 is negative 64. And then if I combine these like terms, I get 5m to the fourth plus 32m squared minus 64. Okay, great. So it was right. This is correct. Wonderful. And that is how you factored this by grouping and how you check your work.